So, yes, it is true. Brock Lesnar is back and back in the fold. If you missed it last night, Brock Lesnar returned to WWE last night after a 2-year hiatus to attack none other than John Cena. And on one side of the spectrum, you got fans that are just happy to see him. Like last night, his reaction was nuts. As soon as his song hit, the stadium went up into flames. Fans were everywhere. A lot of fireworks, pyro. People were just happy to see him. And then you had the fans on the internet that didn't know how to feel about it. A lot of things going on with the case that he's still involved in with Vince McMahon, and a lot of fans were also upset with WWE for bringing Brock back in the first place, and we're going to dive into that today, and I'm going to give y'all my thoughts on where I stand at with the product as a whole and what Brock Lesnar does post SummerSlam and why his involvement is important with WWE and where we go from here. So let's get into it. Number one for why Brock Lesnar is back, and this should be no surprise to anybody that has watched the product over the past couple years or the product in general when concerning WWE, it's about the moment. If there's one thing we know for certain, WWE loves its moments, and they love to get them off at any chance possible, at any expense for the most part. So he was here for the moment. Triple H dropped little trails and little hints here and there on his social medias talking about we saw nothing yet after night one, and what better way to do that in their eyes versus bringing back Brock Lesnar. And for what it's worth, it did just that. It created a moment. It had everyone out there seat in the arena, and it got a reaction on social media, both good and bad. So on a surface level, he was here to create a moment and, of course, do business. Simple as that. Number two is floating around that Triple H and John Cena had a conversation about some of his opponents, and Brock Lesnar was a name that came up. So simply enough, John Cena, this is his retirement tour, a man that's dedicated his life to this company for over 20 years. What better way to repay him than give him one of his best rivals, an opponent that he feels he deserves? How can you tell one of your greatest possessions, the golden goose, the man who carried your company, no to a man he wants to wrestle if you can do that for him? So that's more of a reason to bring Brock back, to appease the great John Cena and to have a match that fans can appreciate. A blast from the past, you know, because we need John Cena's greatest hits before he retires. So it's as simple as that to me. Another thing, there could be loads of information that's just not out there yet about his case that we don't know about. I'm not saying that I'm privy to that information, but what I can say is he was basically exiled from WWE TV for about 2 years. So for him to even be able to appear, there must have been some steps or some corrections made for him to take a step forward, for him to even be allowed on the premises. Because as soon as this stuff came out about him and Vince and everybody that was involved with this case, they got exiled. So there must have been some advancement in the case in order for the higher ups to look down at creative and go, okay, we can have this guy back on TV again. So granted, that's probably why we saw him last night. Maybe news hasn't broke yet, but maybe something has been updated in the case that we don't know about, and Brock is more actually clear of the case than we thought. That's neither here or there. We'll leave that coming in the remaining weeks because that information may or may not come out, but we won't know that until it does. I'm just giving you guys reasons as to why Brock may be back on TV. Outside of those reasons that's right on the nose, they had a little bit of unfinished business with Brock before he left the company for a while. In 2024, I think he was originally scheduled to go on against Gunther at WrestleMania. Plans got scrapped because this information came out, and he was basically booted out the door for quite some time. So they couldn't do a match that they wanted to do anyway. So putting him back in the fold, starting off with a match with John Cena, is going to be hot. Fans are going to love it, and it's an easy way to get Brock Lesnar back in the company. And then they can move on to something that they wanted to do a year ago at WrestleMania 40 and get a match between him and Gunther. And it'll probably be a passing of the torch session between those guys as well, because Brock is older. We don't really need Brock. The company's doing well without him, but that is a match that the company wants. So it made sense for them to get him back in the fold with a match with John Cena. And later on down the line, we're probably going to see that Gunther match. So it's very obvious reasons why he's here, and anybody can really visualize that if you've been following the product long enough. It's not nothing crazy that's happening here on why he's back in the company to perform. But I just wanted to make a note of all those things before we get into the whole synopsis of what's going on as far as night 2 was concerned, with where the fans at with this whole thing. So why the fans are upset, since 2024, this is the first time on the company's programming Since Brock Lesnar's name came up in allegations made against him and Vince McMahon by a former employee by the name of Miss Janelle Grant, she accused him of assault and trafficking. Grant filed a suit back in 2024. The original complaint did not include Lesnar's name at the time, but when referenced, he was referenced by a world-famous athlete and a former UFC heavyweight champion. It wasn't that hard to nail who exactly they were talking about. He was involved in a lawsuit that involved assault and trafficking along with Vince McMahon, which is why the fans are in a frenzy right now, because they are looking around like, what's going on? Why is this guy back? And there's an open case with him probably being a offender, and rightfully so. If that's how you feel about the situation, no one could tell you to like or dislike Brock Lesnar. I mean, to me, it's not the craziest thing to hear that fans don't want him back. I mean, for crying out loud, the man is a sicko. There was reports that he requested from Miss Grant a video of her peeing. A video of her peeing. I don't know how much more weirder you can get through that. I think to WWE and creative, what cleared his name enough, or what cleared his name enough to the higher ups, was the fact that he was never actually involved in an actual act. There were reports that he was too drunk for a meeting when it was finally scheduled between the two, and they never made contact. So maybe that's the reason why WWE was able to wiggle around, and the higher ups were like, okay, nothing's came about of this in the past 2 years, and the only thing we have are messages. Not really anything physical, so maybe that's what they use to get around and bring Brock Lesnar back. So yeah, again, as you can see right here, apparently she said McMahon flew Lesnar out to Connecticut back in 2021 for an encounter that ended up not happening. So I guess in WWE's eyes, they tried to steer clear for the case for a while and put him on ice until they could figure out if anything else was going to come about, and nothing really floated to the top of the surface. So as far as him just not making actual contact with her and them never having the session they scheduled, they just said, okay, enough's enough. Cena wants him back. It'll be big. We want a big send-off on SummerSlam. Let's do business, Brock. Finally, and the biggest point I want to make on this whole thing, I think what we have to start realizing as consumers in this world, big corporations could care less about what you think when they're handling business. That's just the way it is. When these billionaires, millionaires are making decisions for their brand and for the growth of their business, they could care less. That's with food, that's with sports, wrestling, movies. When they're making a move for their corporation to get bigger and better, they could really care less about what the average fan feels. I know that's a harsh reality that a lot of people can't sit with and bask in, but that's just the reality of the world we live in. These companies don't care. And a company like WWE shows you all the time they don't care. For the little things, how many times are we asking them for something or something that we want to see as a fan base and they don't deliver, or they go in the opposite direction just to troll us, or they'll give us breadcrumbs here and there and then just go in the completely opposite direction and do what they want to do anyway. This is just on another level because people are upset that he's still in an open assault case, which is understood, but I need y'all to understand from my eyes and from their eyes, I'm just letting you know what the real thing is. They do not care about your perception. WWE is about moments first and wrestling second. One thing that they know for sure, Brock Lesnar is an icon in the sports world, in the fighting sports world, in the wrestling sports world. Brock Lesnar's name rings bells. They knew for sure without a shadow of a doubt, if that theme song dropped in New Jersey like it did last night, the building was going to explode, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. So in their eyes, they're getting business. They're giving John Cena an opponent that he wants. They know that the fans that are in attendance aren't going to care about what Brock Lesnar has going on. Regardless to how you feel about them, they're going to do things that put butts in seats. That's all that matters to WWE at the end of the day. It isn't about how you feel, your political views, your religion, whatever you believe in does not matter when they're discussing what's the next big moment or ticket sales. They are trying to put butts in seats, and Brock Lesnar, like it or not, is a superstar that does just that. I'm not saying you're wrong in feeling the way you feel. Yes, he is involved in the active case. We don't know where his status is because, like I said, for him to appear on TV after being exiled for basically 2 years, there must be some investment that they have figured out that maybe he's not as involved as we thought, or maybe nothing really happened outside of the messages. We don't know. We're that's not our job. We are viewers and we are here to consume the product. Whether you want to do that or not is totally up to you. Do that at your discretion. I'm just letting you guys know that WWE doesn't care. They're here to make money. They're here to put butts in seats. They want a viral moment. on top of the wrestling. But the moment comes first because that's what sells tickets. So if Brock Lesnar is going to bring them said moment, and I know it's weird, I know it's a little crazy because we looking like he's in one of the most serious accusations you could ever have pinned against you, and he's allowed to come back to TV. What can we really say no to at this point in time in life? And I feel you. I understand where you come from. Trust me. I thought about it last night. I'm like, well, it's a little crazy that he's back, but we don't know all the details. And again, WWE does not care about our opinions. They let you know that because they took away the post media show. Do y'all not think that was strategically done because WWE knows Brock Lesnar returns? If they have the scrum that they've been having, somebody's going to question what's his status in that lawsuit. Triple H does not want to answer those questions. So that's why they took it upon themselves to start their own post show scrum. And that's why you saw the type of scrum they had last night. They didn't want to face those types of questions, and they don't care to. That's why they changed the script, and that's why Brock Lesnar's back. I'm just letting you know, from me to you, why things are the way they are. WWE does not care about your feelings. Most businesses and corporations don't when it comes to money. That's the reality of the situation. And for me, my views upon it, I can't control what they do as far as superstars. I wish they would honestly stop relying on the older guys so much. Thank you, Cena, for your services, but I'm honestly glad that you're going out on your own terms and that you're retiring. We don't need John Cena anymore. The company's thriving without him. The company's thriving without Brock Lesnar. The company's thriving without The Rock. Keep the old guys in the back. If they want to help the younger guys flourish, let them be mentors in the back. We don't need these guys on screen anymore. The company was fine without Brock Lesnar. Quite frankly, if Brock Lesnar didn't return, the company would have been just as fine, in my opinion. They need to focus on their younger stars. If you're asking me where my thoughts are about this, Brock Lesnar is back. Cool. We get him and a Cena rematch for the greatest hits on Cena's retirement tour. Other than that, I could care less. Keep the older guys off of TV and develop your younger talent. You shoot yourself in the foot continuously because you rely on returns like this for a guy who's been there and done that. Granted, most of it is for Cena and then for that Gunther rub that we all want to see. But other than that, we could care less. Me personally, I could care less about bringing the older guys back. Retire gracefully and move on. If y'all really want to know my opinion, that's where I'm at with all of these returns, all of these stem shots of nostalgia. Although you want a healthy dosage of that every now and then, make the main thing the main thing. Focus on your young stars. You have young stars and between the men and the women on your roster that deserve more airtime, more TV time. They have the talent. LA Knight is one of those people. He was not on the card all weekend. Carmelo Hayes wasn't on the card all weekend. But you made a way to get Brock Lesnar back on the show. And that's why I say to y'all, WWE does what they want to do. Let Brock Lesnar do his thing. If you're going to do the greatest hits after this, he should be gone. We don't need Brock Lesnar anymore. We don't need John Cena. We don't need Stone Cold. We don't need The Rock. We don't need The Undertaker. WWE is fine. Make your new stars the stars. Focus on that. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. I know people are going to be in a frenzy over this all week. I just wanted to let you guys know why it's happening, why it's a little weird. But they don't care. And as long as you understand that, you'll be able to view WWE in a different scope and just enjoy the product for the product. These corporations don't care about your feelings. So take your feelings out of it, enjoy it for what it is, and move on with your life, man. Like and subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment too. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Brock done beat the case. He must have done Johnny Cochran or something.